ואיר אל אברהם, אל יצחק ואל יעקב באל שדי, אשמי השם לא נדעתי להם. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling Moshe, I showed myself to the forefathers. The forefathers were the founders of our family that became a tribe that became a nation that went to exile and has been battered ever since. That's us. And so the forefathers, they received insight into the nature of reality in order to create us. Creating us involved special engineering. And they received their instructions from a very lofty place, from reality itself, from the realizations that they had through their own hearts and their own souls. Nobody in their time was trying to figure out the truth with the same earnestness as them. And therefore they couldn't rely on anybody else's conclusions. They wanted to dig the foundations of our family so that they're sitting on something solid, so that the waves of time don't somehow destroy what they're building. And therefore they looked for a truth that is deeper and more real than all the other truths that were available to the people at the time. And the truth available was very deep and very real. Even the people who were worshipping idols is called worshipping the astrological signs and the planets that revolve around the sun. These forms of worship involved tremendous wisdom to understand the spiritual powers of the forces that create us and to know how to manipulate them. That requires a lot of knowledge, a lot of truth, a lot of realization. And yet, if the heart's not pure, if the intention is not proper, all this power, all this realization, and it's being used in a way that is counterproductive, the demons take charge. And so Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, they're searching for something else. This is not going to cut it. What other people are doing is not the way. Because they're commanding the collective soul to hurt humanity. The collective soul will respond. This is the nature of how life works. And so, if they allow their children to simply move forward with the traditions that they're observing around them, their children are certainly going to become the enemies of the Creator. And if that's the form of existence that's available, then not existing is preferable. Because with not existing, at least you're not against the Creator. If you're existing and existing wrong, then you're opening up a front against the force, against the power that has no limit. It's not conquerable. His power will never end. And so therefore, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov are looking for something different, for something truer. And so HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I responded. Moshe Rabbeinu is now in contact with an intelligence that is beyond the intelligence that the patriarchs ever had access to. And this intelligence is telling him, what I showed them was also me. And yet it was a lower level of intelligence than what I'm showing you. And to relate to these intelligences, we're talking about names. I didn't tell them this name. I didn't tell them the other name. What is a name? A name is the capacity to call the spirit into a specific form. When I call a name, my spirit takes form. It takes a specific form, the way that I've trained it. And so to know a name is to know how to call upon something spiritual. That's the nature of a name. The wisdom of names is the deepest wisdom in the world. This wisdom is in charge of all the other wisdoms. All the other wisdoms rely on names in order to express their wisdom. There's no wisdom that can express itself without names. And so therefore, all wisdoms are children of the wisdom of names. And this wisdom was revealed to the patriarchs. And the patriarchs, realizing this name, by knowing this name, what could they do? They could call within existence, within their own experience, they can call a form of intelligence that will reveal itself to them. And as a result, they're going to realize that they and this intelligence are really one and the same. Because if they weren't the same as this intelligence, they wouldn't be able to call it and perceive it. Calling upon something and perceiving something means that this is within the functions of your soul. This is the nature of your soul, that it has the capacity to perceive this intelligence, which means that it's a dormant factor inside of you. All names are already available inside of all of us. This is the nature of a soul. The nature of the soul is that it can access all spiritual names if it has the proper conditions to call upon that spirit. If the physical vessel where it resides can contain the spirit that's being called upon, can contain the intelligence. How would a body not be ready to contain intelligence? If, by realizing truth, that body would become too frustrated to continue existing. A body like that is not ready to contain a higher level of intelligence, and therefore cannot call upon that level of intelligence to come in. The entire work of the Avos, the entire work of the prophets, was to prepare their vessel, to purify their vessel, to behave in accordance with the intelligences and the attributes, so that all levels of intelligence can reveal themselves within themselves as themselves, and they would still be able to survive because there was no conflict. They already knew what to avoid before they got to those levels, in order to make sure that when they arrive to those levels, they will have access. And this is how the prophets would train the future generations, the future prophets. This is how Avram trained Yitzchak. This is how Yitzchak trained Yaakov. And so the intelligence that revealed itself to the patriarchs was an intelligence that relates to attributes. Which means that the patriarchs realized that the relationship the Creator has with creation is a relationship of attributes. It's not a relationship where He identifies us as individuals. He identifies us based on how we identify ourselves. We receive feedback from Him based on what we choose to dress Him as. We choose to dress Him as the way we present ourselves to the world. And so the patriarchs, because they realized the Creator from a perspective of attributes, they each chose an attribute. Avraham is Chesed, Yitzchak is Gvura, Yaakov is Tiferes. Each one choosing an attribute, saying, in this language, under these conditions and principles, I'm going to interact with the Creator. And this became, for them, a path where their intelligence can express itself and know how it's going to come closer to the Creator, because the parameters have been defined based on attributes. Avram Chesed to the right, Yitzchak Gvura to the left. Yaakov comes, the right is taken, the left is taken. And yet he sees that we need something else. And so now he's touching already on something higher, something beyond attributes, something that's pure intelligence. This pure intelligence is going to decide when it's going to turn to the right and when it's going to turn to the left. Yaakov is in the middle. Yaakov is emes. Yaakov is not choosing right or left. He's choosing to be the one who knows when to turn right and when to turn left. Then comes Moshe. Moshe is a different level of intelligence. Moshe comes into a place that's beyond attributes. Moshe discovers a place where Kadosh Baruch Hu can be kind to creation without any reason. There are sides within the Creator that are willing and able to be kind to all that exists. There's enough intelligence within the Creator to explain to each one of us everything we think we've done wrong, why it was not wrong, and why it needed to be exactly that way. We haven't yet accessed that place. Therefore, we're still struggling against the Midas Adin. But there is such a place, there is such a location. Every soul will eventually reach that location. And so Moshe Rabbeinu goes into a connection with the Creator that's called netzach. Netzach is not right, it's not left, it's not middle. It's whatever is necessary, even if we're going to look away from the attributes completely. Yaakov will go right when we need to go right, and he will go left when we need to go left. But he never abandons the truth. Netzach will do whatever it takes to survive. Netzach is more concerned about the future than it's concerned about the present. Because all the good is in the future. The real good is in the future, so we want to protect the future. The present is going to go one way or the other. But the future is going to remain. And so Moshe Rabbeinu ties us to a place of intelligence that is beyond attributes. It's not based on what you do or what you didn't do. It's not based on when you did it. It ties you to a place where at the end everything has to work out. And this is why HaKadosh Baruch Hu is showing this to Moshe, because Moshe is with Klal Yisrael in Golus. Moshe is in the exile. Moshe is getting his hands dirty. And so therefore he discovers a place where the present doesn't even matter. That's not the goal. The future is guaranteed. Because in Mitzrayim, being present would not be a solution. The present was horrible. It was unbearable. That was the reality. There was no running from it. There were other people making sure that you don't forget. And yet the future was what was calling us. The name I will be. I will be that I will be. Nobody will stand in my way. Nothing is going to stop this. This I didn't show to the forefathers. The forefathers worked hard. They wanted to get it right. I couldn't show them that it's going to be right regardless of what they do. This I'm going to show you. You're in the brokenness. You're sitting with them while they're crying. You have nothing to say to them to explain why they're suffering. Klal Yisrael didn't do anything that would justify the suffering. These are people being born into slavery, being abused every day, day in and day out, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, in every way possible. They had the most sophisticated abusers the world has ever seen. Except today, we're better at abusing ourselves somehow. But the sophistication of the Egyptians, the purpose of how they designed things was all based on the spiritual truth, on how the spirit is biologically entangled in the body. It was all based on making sure the organs are stuck and they really can't move out of position. And so in that place, Moshe Rabbeinu brings out the new midah. Truth? What's truth in Mitzrayim? What's there to talk about truth? Where's the truth? It's not truth. It's netzach, it's survival. It's beyond truth. Truth we'll see then. We're holding on to it because of what it is, and that's the only thing that is. Therefore we're it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't have to make sense. We know what we want. We want the thing itself. That's what it is. That's what we're after. Don't get us confused with words. Don't start explaining it and defining it and playing with it until we don't know what we're after anymore. We want the thing itself. That's all. That's the only definition we're going to give. Whatever it is, it's the only thing available. And so this is a new name. This is a new relationship to discover. This is a new reality that He's giving us access to. This is something that was not available in the world before. These people, they're such big people, we're still talking about these people because they discovered something within themselves that was not available to the world. It was only available inside of them. And the world has many things that have not been discovered. There are many things inside of you that the world wants to know, that only you can bring out. There are many names of the Creator that are embedded in your heart, and you have access to them better than anybody else. And this is why we're here. This is real. It's heavy. It's hard to run. It's like in a nightmare sometimes where you try to run and you can hardly move. And this is because it's so precious. There are so many forces. Everybody wants, because here you can get. This is why it's so difficult, because here you can get. If diamonds are being given away, and you go and there's no line and there's no pushing, then there's no diamonds probably. Wherever there's something real to be gotten, there are forces that are making sure that not everybody gets. This is the nature. This is the nature of nature. This is how life is designed. You invest, you get. You build, you have. And so we want to become aware, first of all, of the names. We're all calling names all day long. And whoever we're calling, they are coming. That's the nature of reality. They are coming. You've never called any spirit and nothing showed up. Never happened. The nature of the spirit is you call, it shows up. Every word I said, the spirit showed up. It's no different when you're talking to yourself, when you're thinking, when you're feeling. You're calling someone. Whose number do you have on speed dial over there? Who is constantly coming? Those are the names. We want to improve the names that we call. We want to learn some new names, some deeper names, some more meaningful names. Until all of us can call the one name, His single name. V'yom hahu yeh Hashem echad, Ishma echad. May it happen so.